Are you a live stream producer looking to improve your production? Maybe you're a host, maybe you're a creator. On this episode, Marco Novo and myself, Christian Karasiewicz, we're going to share 7 of our favorite live streaming tips for more professional live streams to help you be better at live streaming. So I'm going to come on and say a quick hello. How are we doing, everyone? So it's so great to see everyone here for episode 88 of the Launch Your Live show and podcast. For those of you who are listening to us, if you do want to check out any of the gear that we're talking about, all you have to do is go to launchyour.live/EP88. So launchyour.live/EP88. And that's going to get you on the Amazon Live video that we're doing here. So I'm Christian Karasiewicz, founder of Launch Your Live. And Marco has been co-hosting with me actually for a little while here for the Amazon Live show portion. Now, before we begin, by the way, and I'm sorry for the delay in getting started. I just finished a 2-hour live stream and then I'm right on another one. But we're excited to talk to you today about obviously live streaming tips. But before we begin, I want to say Feliz Anniversario to my friend Marco Novo because, well, it's not his birthday. But it's his birthday for live streaming. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on Marco, and we're going to kick things off. Marco, it's so good to have you back. How we doing?
Doing fine. And yes, it was 6 years ago that by accident I felt in this amazing live stream world. And as I like to say, it was love at first live. And by those days, I was amazed with live streaming. Don't ask me why. It was that gut feeling that something good could come from this format. And I started here in Portugal talking about live streaming. People were looking at me, what the hell are you talking about? Stop doing that. But I think after these 6 years, somehow I think I was not that wrong. So it was a really good day, a really happy day in my life when by accident I went to Blab and someone asked me to join the show, and I'm here talking about live streaming.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I got to say this. I mean, I've been doing it for quite a while. Actually, pre-Blab, I was using Google Hangouts. I used to run actually quite a few shows back then as well. And so I'm kind of surprised you and I have not we never met up on Blab, because I met a lot of people once they saw the value in live streaming. But this is going to be a great episode, by the way, because, we're going to share some of our wisdom, some of our favorite things that we like to talk about when we're live streaming. So just a couple of quick notes for those of you who are watching. Do us a favor. Let us know, where are you watching from? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear that. I got to say, over on Amazon Live, Władysław, thanks a lot for tuning in. We're super glad to have you watching there. Remember, if you are
Absolutely.
listening
Welcome.
and you want to watch with us, just go to launcher.live/EP88. Okay, Marco. So I'm going to turn it over to you. What's today's topic about?
Well, this is about having in mind how my process and progress for 6 years. Some points that I think we should have in mind in this journey to save time, to save money, to save headaches, and also to become, and mostly to become, a really good live streamer. I think it's really important because, as we like to say, if I knew this when I started, and I think, even though, as Gary Vee mentioned last week when he made the keynote on the StreamYard Summit, there's this learning thing that, okay, we learned, we made our mistakes, and maybe I'm not regretting. But yes, if we knew some of these tips when we were started, I think the things would be better.
Definitely. So I'm going to turn over to you. You tell me where we want to start with this, because there's a lot that there's a lot that people need to understand from live stream, but we also want to make sure this is not something that's super complicated, right? So
Absolutely.
what we've done is we've listed out, we've got 7 areas that we want to focus on. And so these areas are going to talk about just places that you need to things you need to consider as a live streamer to help you, whether it's be a better live streamer, to be better on camera, to look better, to sound better, to make, if you need to switch your camera, like how do you do that easily? How do you improve your background? I mean, Marco, I got to say, I like your lights and stuff you got going on right now. So, Marco, where's the first area we want to talk about? Or what is the first area?
I think it could be the gas. The
Gas,
gear
so what's
acquisition
yeah.
syndrome.
So avoiding gas, you're absolutely right. So nobody wants gas, especially when they're live streaming. So what does this mean? And we use the acronym GA.
It means, and this could be, I don't know, maybe somehow a way of imposter syndrome as well.
Okay.
Let's put this in technology terms. Okay. And one of the problems we may feel when we are starting, and then when we're in the business, is that we need to buy new gear. We need to, there's a new camera in the field, I need to buy it. There's a new microphone, I need to buy it. There's a new light, I need to buy it. There's a new mixer, I need to buy that as well. Okay, so avoid that. Have in mind that usually most of the things you don't need to buy them. Okay, or at least buy carefully, and we will talk about this later. And so I think we can start by the classic Logitech C920, because I don't know about you, Chris, but it was my first camera. And I've worked with this camera, I don't know, in this 6-year journey.
Yeah,
I think I worked with that at least 5. I think I still using it. Okay, so
what is the Logitech C920? Can you bring this up, and then let's talk about avoiding gas. So Margaret's going to bring up the C920, and what we basically mean here is this. So it's very easy to go down the rabbit hole of, we see someone else get new equipment, new gear, and as a result, we want to go buy it too. And you can probably see, I mean, let me see if I can get out of the shot here. So as you can see, I mean, I've got a few things in the background here. Got a few boxes here, right? Got a few things. And so, avoiding gas. So avoiding gear acquisition syndrome. And one of those things, one of those areas where a lot of us, I think we fall victim to this is, for example, we go to do this. Like, so we buy a webcam. And I'll say this, I mean, I started off with one of these. How about you, Marco?
I did. It was my only camera for, I don't know, maybe, yes, 5 years, I think.
Because here's the thing. This is a $60 webcam. The picture quality is not great, but guess what? If you're just getting started and you don't have an audience built, you don't need to buy an expensive camera. And so what we mean by, avoiding gas is, every time something new comes out, there's no need to go buy something else. Work with what you have. So if you've got the built-in laptop webcam you're using, the next phase would be to go and upgrade to a webcam. And there are lots of options here, but one of the ones that we always recommend to everyone is to get that Logitech C920. And it's because it's a good webcam. It's a good step up from your built-in webcam. So definitely that's a good option, Marco. I like that. I mean, okay, so we like the Logitech C920. Now, for those of you who want to get if you're like, well, hey, I've already had the C920, I got the Logitech Brio, maybe I want to actually move up a notch. Can you do me a favor? Can you bring up that mirrorless DSLR?
I can. There you go.
So you could go from, a $60 webcam to like $150 camera, and then you can move up to something like this. This is the Sony a6400, for example. And this is the whole kit. You get a memory card, you get additional lenses. And here's the thing. If you're just getting started with live streaming, this isn't like a lot of people will say, hey, I want to, instead of starting out with that Logitech C920, they'll make this investment into this camera and they have no audience, for example, or They've never done a live stream, but yet they went and spent that money. This is the camera I'm using right now, but I didn't start out with this camera. So, I unfortunately don't have the actual box for this, but this is the C920 that you're seeing right now. And so, what we mean by this is like, if you're going to start with what you have and then take an incremental level up.
Yeah, and the other thing about buying expensive gear to start, and I'm not against that. Okay, if you have the money, if you have enough money to buy expensive, go for it. But the problem is, or the challenge is, this will raise the bar for you. Okay, so if there's no people watching, maybe you will think, okay, I bought all this stuff and I'm worthless and I suck doing this, or you just will feel, and maybe also you don't feel good because not everybody has to be good as live streamers. Okay, some people, they like to be bloggers, some of people like to be podcasters. Not all of the people need to be good on live streaming or need to be comfortable doing live streaming. Okay, so have this in mind as well. Try with what you have, as I did, as Christian did as well, and then make the balance, make the evaluation of your feelings once you finish the show.
Exactly. And here's the thing, Marco, do me a favor. Can you bring up the next item we have here? So like, let's bring up the newer ring light. Let's talk about that. So if you're going to buy, so we talk about, don't just buy stuff just for the sake of buying it. It's great. Like if there's a new webcam that came out, but if you've got one that's doing its job, there's just by buying another webcam doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden going to get, an immediate influx of more followers and more subscribers and more people watching your content. It comes down to content. The content has to be good. Doesn't mean that the content has to look good. It doesn't have to look perfect, for example. The content, what you talk about, needs to be sound. And then the visual helps. The audio helps people hear better, helps people see what's going on. But for example, if your show is, just the two of you on camera, like you don't need a fancy camera. You don't. So if you're going to get any of these webcams, by the way, if you're going to get that Logitech C920, one of the things you're definitely going to need, by the way, is you're going to want to make sure you get some lights. And there's lots of options for lights. One of our favorite ones is a ring light. And this is actually what I'm using right now as well. I'm using the newer ring light, the 18-inch model. And so these are extremely, extremely, extremely helpful to help improve the quality of that $60 camera. So what they do is they help bring out some of the details that the camera alone might miss. So, so I have this camera set up, and then the way I have mine set up, by the way, I always use this example. So if this is the light and this is the front of the light, I always angle it like this. So then this way, so the light angle. And then when it's then facing me, so I make it higher than me. And then what I have it doing is this, it's making a cone. So I'm doing this. So the light is going this way when I angle it down versus having it come straight on, having it right above me, any of that kind of thing. So again, the key thing is you want to get the most out of that webcam. Make sure you get the right kind of light. Another option you can go with, by the way, also to improve these cameras. So if you get that, and I'll use this example. If you buy the $60 camera or you buy that $1,500 camera, if you don't have enough light, they're not going to look that great. I'll tell you right now, when I got my Sony, I did not set it correctly. And I looked at it initially and I said, there's not much of a difference between this and that webcam I was using. In actuality, there is a pretty big difference. There's also a big price tag. So if you do need lights, for example, again, we're not telling you to go buy these, but you have to make sure that, Marco, you and I talk about this a lot. You have to make sure that whatever camera you use, for example, if you bought a $60 webcam, you don't need to get super expensive lights.
Yeah.
If you bought a $1,500 to $1,600 camera, you better have good lights. You can't have one of those little, you can't have one of those little, little tiny lights for example, and expect to use that with the really expensive camera. We always give the example, Marco, I think, of having like an expensive car. So, for example, when you buy a Ferrari, when you buy a Corvette, for example, you buy a vehicle that is designed for, speed. You don't put the cheapest tire that you can afford on it. You put the right kind of tire on the product. So it's the same thing. So I'm going to show you all this. So like this is the Elgato Key Light, and they're about $150 a piece. And I'm going to grab my box here, by the way, while we're talking about this. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't grab the box, Marco. I think this is a little close. What do you think? So this is the Elgato Key Light. And this is one light per box, by the way. So the way these work, what really separates this one from that ring light, Marco? What's the difference?
Well, you have more control over the lights.
Yeah.
Okay. You will have more light. And one of the amazing things is that you can synchronize this with more devices from the Elgato universe. Okay.
Yes, you can,
which will give you more control over the lights and the
So
oh my
yes.
God.
Well, here, I'll take
the
it.
key light. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I have the key lights as well, and I'm actually going to turn these on right now. I'm going to show you guys this. You know what? Should I shut my other light off? What do you think, Marco?
Go for it.
Okay. So let me actually turn my other light off, and then we're going to show you what this looks like. Okay, so I've got no lights on, minus the small ones in the back. Now, what we're going to do, by the way, for those of you listening, if you want to check this out, just go to launcher.live/EP88, and you'll be able to watch this kind of experiment. So I have no lights on right now, really. I've got the minor one in the back. I'm going to turn these on. These are my key lights. Now, obviously, the one thing that you should see that's different here is that I've got these two lights, and I got one ring light in the middle. Now, sometimes I'll just use the ring light, and here's the reason why. These are the key lights I'm using right now. Watch this. This is only at 9%. I'm going to bump this up. So you're going to see this. This is this is just crazy. I actually think this actually really helps. So one thing that helps by having two of these, by the way, is this. So as you can see, this side of my face is pretty, it's got a pretty good amount of light on it. It's because I bumped that one up. This one is not, because, it's very dark, as you can see there. So I'm going to bump this one up. Let's bump it up to like 50%. This is really bright, by the way. Oof. This is really bright. But as you can see, that's one really cool thing about this. I don't have to get up, and I don't have to turn a dial. I don't have to, what else? Like if I want to change the color of these, I can't change them from like purple in the background to like blue or green or whatever. But what I can do is I can adjust the color temperature. So I can make it more blue or more yellow or more white. So basically I can adjust the color temperature of these. So I got to say, I don't know, Marco, these actually look pretty good. What do you think?
Yes, it does. And I think this is something important when we talk about live stream gear, is when you buy things, and most of the things I bought lately was because all the products that I had before didn't give me this control over things. Like, for instance, I bought this microphone because with this and with a mixer, I can have more control over the microphone. Mm-hmm. I bought new lights because the ones I had before were soft boxes, and the only control I had on that lights was turning on and off. And now with these lights, I can change the temperature. They are RGB, so I can have different colors, even though I think I won't be using this often, but it's an option. Okay. And it's good to have options. So have this in mind as well. But also on the flip side of this, if you are starting and you have this gear with so many options, you may get overwhelmed
Yeah, exactly.
because you don't know what button to turn on and off, and which gear you can be turning and moving and everything. So stay simple, and then with time improve and become more complex. Otherwise,
Mhm.
this could be really a problem for you.
No, it's great advice actually. So the key thing is obviously avoid gear acquisition syndrome, meaning as somebody gets new stuff, I always got to go buy something else, or keeping up with the Joneses, or keeping up with the Marcos. For example, if Marcos gets something new, uh, then I don't need to go get something new. I shouldn't have to get something new just because he got something. Again, it's being satisfied with the equipment you have. And here's the thing: there's a reason behind this. So we always talk about this. We talk about like when you're buying equipment. I don't like buying. Do you like buying new stuff all the time, Marco? What about you?
Just if I need it. If no, let me
If
stay
you
there.
absolutely need it. It's being truthful to yourself if you need it. So number one, avoid gear acquisition syndrome. Um, so we talked about obviously like webcams. We talked about like some webcams to get you started. We talked about having lights. For those of you, by the way, Marco's got a physical background. I've got a physical background. If you do happen to want to have a little more variety to your live streams, you can get some of these other things. Like you can get a green screen to change your background. But again, as you can see, all these things build on one another. So it's having the right camera, having the right lights. If you don't have the right lights, it's not going to make your camera look good. If you want to change your background and use a green screen and you don't have the right uh, lights, your green screen, for example, these are like just things that are building on top of one another. They're things that they don't work if if you don't have the right stuff. So you can't just
Yeah.
buy the most expensive camera and not put the lights with it, or you can't buy the green screen and use the webcam with no good lights and expect it to look good.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Absolutely
so number
not.
one, gear acquisition syndrome. Let's avoid gas. Okay, what's number two, Marco?
I think, let me check. Let me check. Number two. Number two. And this is really important to test.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Because
testing, yes.
one of the things about live streaming, okay, and be aware of that, even though I've been doing this for 6 years, Christian, even more,
Yeah.
we test often. And I don't know about you, Chris, but most of the time I'm testing, I'm not actually live, or at least live.
Yep.
Okay.
No, exactly. Yeah.
So this is really important. It's, as I like to say, live streaming is the most risky way of content creation.
Hmm.
Okay. Don't don't underestimate this. Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing, it's entertaining, it's good to make it, but
Hmm.
it's risky. Okay.
It is. Yeah.
And the problem is, at the beginning, maybe you don't know how to manage mistakes, how to manage frustration,
Hmm.
how to manage these kind of things. And if you go test live, something live, actually live, and things don't go good
Yeah.
because an equipment doesn't work,
Hmm.
something doesn't work, there's someone in the audience pointing you, oh, it's not working, and you may get scared or frustrated or angry. This could be really bad for you. So test on a safe environment.
Exactly. And that includes everything, actually. That includes everything that you have. That doesn't mean, for example, I don't like you see these LED lights in the background, by the way. I've got them in the carousel. These are the Genie brand LED lights, but I didn't just put these up. I learned how the app worked, for example. I learned, okay, do I need to put this with it? Do I need to put that? I figured out like, oh, there's a scheduler like built into the app. Like I found all these little things before I actually then started just using them in production. So, that's part of the things you can test. The next things you can test though, when we talk, like we talked about a camera, make sure you know how your camera works. For example, make sure you know how to turn off the display so that it's not showing up on your live streams. Don't do it during your live stream. Run a test environment, meaning, for example, we're using StreamYard to power Launcher Live over on Amazon. And in this case, we can do a record only feature, or we can just send it to a private Facebook group. We can send it to a place where it's a controlled environment. We can do a live stream, but it's just us. It's not like, oh, having 10 people on it, it's going to actually make it, unstable. It's not. It's all about knowing how your equipment works. So, so super important. So in terms of equipment, so we talk about testing in a safe environment, Marco. One of the things I like to do is, like, when it comes to audio is such a subjective thing, right?
Yeah.
And
sorry, and I think we should highlight this because it's truly important. And audio, it's a tricky thing because you can't see it. Because, for instance, you go live, you look at the camera and you see you, okay? But most of the times you can't hear yourself. And this is, for instance, I never started a live stream without the camera turned on. But some time ago, I started a couple of live streamings with the sound turned off. Okay, so have this in mind. And also, audio is crucial to your content, even though it's video or podcasting or a recorded video. Audio, it's critical. Okay, highlight this because it is really important. So having in mind that audio is so important, we're going to talk about some of the most amazing microphones you can find on Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. And audio is super important, by the way. The other thing we talk about testing. So like, you want to test your microphones out beforehand. So every time you're doing a stream and you're going to have a guest on, for example, if Marco and I, if we've been doing this show for a few months now, and everything we do, like, okay, yeah, like, we know how things are going to work, how they're going to, look, how they might sound. But let's say Marco gets a new piece of equipment. Or, for example, let's say he wants to use these. These are the Rode Wireless Go's. Let's say he wants to use these during the live stream. Here's the problem. If I've never used these in the live stream and I don't know how they sound, I don't know how they work, I don't want to test these in a live environment. I want to put them in a test Facebook group, for example. Or if you're on Amazon here on Amazon Live, they have a practice mode. So what I want to make sure I'm doing is that I'm spending the necessary time making sure that I know how these work. I know how they sound. I know how I need to place them. I don't just start using them. They are plug and play, but they're not really plug and play, if that makes a whole lot of sense. So,
yep.
So keep that stuff in mind. So, like, let's talk about mics, Marco. So if I'm getting started with live streaming, and we get a lot of people that ask about, like, what kind of mic should I get? We always talk about testing in a safe environment. We always tell people to go to the local audio store and test the stuff physically in person, but then come back to Amazon and order it because chances are they have the better price. But what mic should people kind of start with?
I think this Samsung Q2U, it's a must-have, and the price keeps going down. Which is good, even though here in Europe it's more expensive. But it is an amazing microphone. Okay, and this is a good example of how buying wisely will avoid the syndrome we mentioned before.
And why is that? Talk about that. Why is that?
Because you will start with a USB microphone, which is more than good enough when you're starting. Okay. But once you get more confident and you want to give that step ahead, you can use this microphone as an XLR microphone using this kind of connection.
So let's put that up on the camera. Let's see. Show people what that looks like. So put your hand behind it. Let's see if you do that. Put your hand behind it.
Let's see.
Trick. Sometimes you can get the
camera. Let me see. Changing the camera. Let me see.
While Marco's doing that, so like this mic,
even though this one is a little bit more blue.
Okay. Oh yeah. So this is an XLR connection. So as you can see, this is never going to plug into your computer. And so as a result, if you want to get a more professional microphone, an industry standard microphone, an XLR mic is the way to go. However, most people, they just have their computer and they just want to run everything through the USB port. So if you get this Samsung Q2U, by the way, I'm going to jump back to that. If you get this mic, let's show them the bottom of this, Marco, so they can see this. So the Samsung Q2U can plug directly in via USB into your computer, or it has an XLR output. And what this means is that it can be plugged into an audio interface. It can be plugged into a mixer, such as the Rodecaster Pro. It can be plugged into all this stuff, and it can grow with you over time. So you start out with, for example, maybe you start out with the USB portion of this, and you plug it into your computer. And then when you've got your live stream established and you're ready to go, then you move up to the XLR output, which will mean more equipment that you need to buy. But the thing is, you don't have to start with that. You can start with the USB output on this mic. And then the other great thing is it's got a headphone output. So you literally can plug in headphones. We got a lot of headphones, by the way, we're going to talk about in a second. But headphones, plugging those in, you can then test what your show is going to be like. So for example, with the Samsung Q2U, you can plug it into USB. It shows up on your computer. If you're doing Amazon Live, it shows up as the mic. And then you can hear what you're going to sound like. So like you want to listen for things like background noise. So for example, Marco, can you be fair? Can you turn off your noise gate and let's just talk for a second? So Marco, for example, this is something I would want to test. Marco has a feature on his microphone called a noise gate. And so when it's enabled and he talks, you're going to hear it sound good. And then when he stops talking, it's like a door opening and closing to let the sound in and out. Okay. So it's like he turns it on, he says something, it's going to be quiet, and then you're going to hear it.
Okay. So now it's disconnected.
Okay.
I think.
And so what you're going to sometimes, so this is the thing. This is why you want to test this sort of thing when you're streaming. If you're live streaming, doesn't matter what platform you're using, Amazon Live, Twitch, YouTube, it doesn't really matter. You want to listen for these sorts of things because again, this impacts your audio quality. So if Marco had turned this on and I had never heard it, this is why you do a test beforehand. If I had never heard Marco, like if this was the first time we got connected and Marco did that, and I'm like, oh, well, that sounds like there's something in the room. It's very noisy. It's very distracting for your viewers. So this is where you want to test this sort of thing, see what it sounds like, see what kind of sound you pick up, and then make your adjustments. And then do your live stream. So the Samsung Q2U, can't recommend that enough as a starter microphone. Now, Marco,
and also,
go ahead.
Also, it has a thing that we should highlight, which is the portability. Usually, USB microphones are not as portable as Samsung Q2U. So, for instance, let's think that you buy the Samsung Q2U, and for instance, for 1 year after, you will buy a Shure, for instance, like the SM7B, which is not that portable, but you need to go to a congress or you need to go somewhere, and meanwhile you have to do a live show. With the Samsung Q2U, you can put it in your suitcase, okay, and the cable, it's easy to carry, and then you can do your things. Also, they come with the tripod and the stand and everything.
Yeah, it comes with everything. Yeah.
It's really good if you want to have a microphone and we will talk about this in a couple of minutes. It's good because in the future it could be a useful microphone as well.
Yeah, no, it's an excellent mic. And again, we talked about this earlier. It's $58. So it's been going down in price. It's almost a no-brainer. It's almost like I would have that as a backup mic. It's $58. I can use it for USB. I can get started. I can sound good getting started. I can hear what I'm going to sound like on my live stream. And then when I want to upgrade, I can move to the XLR model, I can use the XLR plug. Or if I even want to take it a step further, what would be the next mic I should look at, Marco? Like you mentioned, a Shure SM7B. So that's what I'm using. But Marco, I think you're using what? The
MV7.
MV7.
Small brother.
So let's bring up the MV7. Let's talk about that one real quick. So again, if you're going to start live streaming and you're going to, you've never done it before, there's no sense in investing in Marco's mic, for example, it's $250. My mic, it's $400. There's no sense investing in that if you've never live streamed before. Start with what you have, use the built-in microphone, or make a $60 investment and get yourself a really good starter mic. So for those of you who do want to level up your microphones, I would definitely recommend checking out this MV7. This is what Marco has. Marco, tell people about this. Like, okay, so I love the point, by the way, that you made about the Samson Q2U, and it's the fact that the Samson is portable. The Shure MV7, this is not very portable, right?
Not really. Yes, it's not the one of his greatest features, but it has something that it's for me. It's really game changer as a USB microphone. This is also an hybrid microphone, so you can use it as an XLR.
What kind of microphone?
Okay, like I'm doing it now.
So it's a hybrid microphone. Yes.
Yes. Also, it has here the USB connection, a micro USB. Okay, and it comes with the two connections: micro USB, USB A, micro USB, USB C to the new models of computer. Okay, nice. And also it has the plug to the headphones monitor.
Nice.
But it brings something that it's different from most of the USB microphones, which is Shure came with a software which allows you to have control over the microphone, like compression, equalization, and this kind of things that are important to control your microphone. Okay, so you can do this through a software that Shure provides you. Okay, and unfortunately, at least as far as I know, Shure, the Samson Q2U doesn't have this feature.
Okay? And so, that's a really good that's a really good selling point, actually. Because the other thing that softwares do, like, so for example, the if you wanted to get some of that functionality, the stuff Marco's talking about. So like right now, so it has the USB, it has the XLR connections, which is great. However, the other thing also that it comes with is it comes with software to control some of the things. So for example, if you wanted to control the noise gate, so meaning when he's not talking, it shuts off. That's what you hear when it goes open, close, open, closed. That's the noise gate, and that's done by the software that's there. So you're not going to get that with the $60 microphone. You're gonna have to spend a little bit more than that. The other thing also, I mean, you know, Marco, you did this a second ago, like you put the mic away from you, and I'll do the same thing here. I'm going to turn to the side and I'm going to talk. Does my audio sound different?
A little bit, yes.
So it sounds a little bit different. And that's because I'm not talking directly into the mic. And that's one other thing about this mic. Yeah.
Yes.
The Samson Q2, or sorry, the Shure MV7 or the Shure SM7B, they're designed to be right in front of you. They're not designed to, that's another thing, buying microphones. If you're going to be at a desk, speaking in front of people, interviewing, things like that, it's going to pick up exactly what's in front of you. So if I knock into this boom arm that I have here, you're going to hear that. If I rustle some papers, I move some boxes, you're going to hear that. But you're not going to hear all of it because it's designed to try to pick up just the vocal patterns going in.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, number 2 is to test a safe environment. And that includes everything. That includes cameras. It includes microphones. It includes everything that you're working with in your live streams. Okay, Marco. So, so that was let me show them this real quick. That was the Shure MV7. Great microphone. Again, goes back to the same point that we made earlier, Marco, about, you know, cameras. If you buy a good microphone, you have to also make sure you buy the right equipment, the right accessories to go with it. So for this kind of mic, you're going to need a tabletop stand, or you're going to need a boom arm. So as you can see that Marco in this shot here, he has a boom arm that's holding the microphone. You're going to need something like that if you're going to buy an expensive mic. It doesn't matter if it's the Shure MV7 or the SM7B. They need a good, strong arm. So again, you don't buy the $10 arm and expect it to hold your $400 microphone. Buy the more expensive arm that you know is a high quality one that can hold that mic. Okay, Marco. So now if I want to go one other step up on on microphones, what would you suggest?
The SM7B.
SM7B, yeah. And then if you want to go wireless, what should I look at?
We have the Rode somewhere.
Yeah, we got the wireless Go, I think, in here. Let me see.
I think it should
Let
be
me find it real
somewhere
quick.
over the rainbow.
Let's see. Maybe I don't have it in the carousel. Let's see. Nope, I don't think it's in there. But if you are interested, if you do want to go up one more level, for your, you're like, hey, I need to be wireless. Check out these. These are the Rode Wireless Goes. This is the Rode Wireless Go 1. So they basically come with a microphone. They come with a receiver. The way these work, pretty much, you take this. And by the way, you can take off this top piece if you want. Again, it depends on what kind of environment you're recording in. But you basically can reattach it just like this. And then I can clip this on myself. So for example, I can clip this microphone out of the shot here and it'll still pick up my audio. And then it uses this other receiver to send that audio back. So just keep that stuff in mind. But this is another option if you're interested in, again, buy one piece of equipment and then upgrade as you actually need it. Okay, Marco, let's do this. Let's keep going here. So
Okay.
that's the Rode Wireless Go. What's the third live streaming tip you want to share with people?
Having in mind what you want to become, because this will make a huge difference. For instance, and mostly having in mind the equipment. Okay. Because, for instance, if you just want to become a producer, you don't have to buy a very expensive camera. You don't have to buy an expensive microphone. Maybe you don't need to buy devices like Stream Deck, for depending on the software you will be using, and you don't need to buy well, the main point is that most of the times you don't need to buy the most expensive things. Okay. For instance, if you want to become a content creator, you need to buy and there's also, depending on what kind of content creator you want to become. For instance, if you want to review products, maybe you will need to buy two good cameras, one to show your face and the other one to show the products while you're showing making the reviews, for instance. And this kind of things, it's really important to understand what you want to become, how you want to make money as well, and then invest wisely again.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And in terms of like the type of live streamer that you are, there's a lot of options here. I mean, if you, for example, are not somebody that wants to be on camera and you just want to be behind the scenes, you want to be the producer, you don't need a super expensive camera. You don't need a super expensive mic. You could get by with the Logitech C920, the Samsung Q2U. The thing, if you're a producer, the thing I would actually consider buying is probably a Blackmagic A10 Mini. And that's because what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to switch scenes. It's going to allow you to, you can use some of those expensive cameras if you need it, but you can also plug in computers into it, iPads, phones, anything else you want in that device. So Marco, let's do this. Let's bring up that, so as a producer, you may need the A10 Mini Pro. So let's go and bring up what these look like. And there's a few of them, by the way. So I use one. I have the A10 Mini Pro ISO. I've got the smaller version of this. So let's do this. Let's show them the smaller one first, actually, because this might be a little jarring. So this is the $300 Blackmagic A10 Mini Pro. And so basically what this does is it's a keyboard. You can plug in multiple cameras in the back. So it can plug in multiple cameras, up to 4 cameras, or anything basically that is connected via HDMI. And so what that means is it can plug in, for example, I have one camera running into this right now. However, if I want to show my phone, or I want to show my tablet, or I want to show something else on another laptop, you can plug it in via HDMI and it's seen as a display. And what that does, it means you'll be able to then switch cameras. It's kind of cool, actually. So this is, if you're a producer, if you're like, hey, you know what? I don't know if I want to be a, I don't know if I want to be a producer, or I want to be a host, or I want to be a guest. The great thing about this product is it works for all of them. So it lets you make transitions between things. It lets you easily switch cameras. You've got picture-in-picture mode, for example. I can show you all what that looks like. So for example, I'm going to cut back to my shot. And as you can see, I'm here and I'm also up in the top corner. And that's because I have a button on here that allows me to move my camera around, as you can see. So for example, as a producer, this may be something that I need. So I could be feeding in one camera and having a second camera also being fed in. So again, that could be a phone connected there. It could be an iPad, a laptop, any of that kind of stuff. So that's one of the great features of this thing. There's also a second model of this. And Marco, I think you initially brought that one up. And there is the ATEM Mini Pro ISO Extreme. Did I get the name right? Because it's like a super crazy like name.
Yeah.
That's ATEM Mini Extreme ISO bundle. This is literally a huge keyboard. And what it does is each one of these channels is it allows you to have 8 cameras connected. In addition to that, you can have, you've got the picture-in-picture mode feature. You also have, I mean, look at all these. This is crazy. You also have 2 outputs on it as well. So you do 2 inputs, 2 outputs. Really good product. So if you're going to be, when we're talking about what type of live streamer are you, if you're going to be the producer, this is the kind of stuff you need. You don't need the super expensive camera. You need to put the money into a switcher. Now, the other thing is, okay, so like if you're going to be the host, we talked about this earlier, you need to make sure you have good audio. So if you're the host, for example, let's bring up Marco, let's do this. Let's bring up the Rodecaster. So for those of you who are, let's bring up the Feel World actually. Bring up the Go XLR. Let's bring up the Go XLR instead. So for those of you who are live streaming and you're like, hey, you know what? I want to just be a host. I want to be I just want my vocals on this. I want my vocals on the live stream. I might want to MC the event. I want to make sure I have a good camera. I've got good lighting and I've got good audio. And that's where going into something like this, like a Go XLR, is worthwhile. So Marco, what does this do?
Well, he gathers the sound. Okay, you can bring the sound from your XLR microphone, another 3.5 millimeter microphone as well, a condenser, for instance. You can bring your cell phone as well, for instance, for an income call. Okay, and also it has this control over the microphone. Of course, it has voice modifiers. Okay. Yeah. Also, and you can control here the microphone. It has this setup where you can use pre-recorded audio as well. Okay, so this is it's kind of a DJ console as well. So, and you can control here mute and unmute the devices you're using. This Definitely is really helpful.
Yeah, it's a great product. And so I'm using the Rodecaster, but that's because the other thing about the Go XLR, by the way, the Go XLR does not work with a Mac. It's PC only. So, but the benefit is, again, it's for feeding your audio into your laptop and then being able to, you could feed in audio, you could feed in phone calls. So you can make a call-in show if you want to, if you're a live streamer. But the other thing is it also helps you bring in different sounds. It's got a sound pad feature that you can use to bring things in. For those of you, by the way, who don't want something this expensive, do me a favor, Marco, let's bring up the Wave XLR. So we talked about, like, hey, if you're going to be a host and you need good audio, typically when you go to an XLR mic, you're going to get a better quality mic. You're going to get better options for a mic. And this is the Elgato Wave XLR. And essentially what this does is, let's see if we can see the back of that. So basically, it's this big button that goes in front of you. Let's go to the next one. Yeah, go up. Let's go to the third picture. And so it's this big button that your microphone is connected to. Go up one more, two more pictures. One more picture. Yeah. Yeah. So there's the back of it at the bottom. And so it's very simple. You have one output that goes into USB-C. You have a pair of headphones so you can monitor what you're hearing. And then you have a one XLR connection, and there's a big mute button on the top. And that's as simple as it is. So if you're somebody who wants, better audio, but you don't want to spend $500, this is a very good option to consider. This is the Go XLR, the Wave XLR. Man, I get these confused. It's the Wave XLR from Elgato, and it's for connecting a single XLR microphone to your computer. So it runs through this, it does all the processing through this, and then it feeds it into your computer. So I don't have anything else more to say on that. I mean, it's just overall, it's a very good product.
Yeah, indeed. And again, it's an Elgato device, so you can integrate, synchronize with other Elgato devices as well. And one good thing about Elgato devices is that they come with software to complement the work of the hardware. So this is something really you should have in mind as well, okay? Because it's not just this. You can have this software that you can see it here, to give you even more options when we talk about audio, which is really good.
Exactly. So, okay. So that talks about that's some equipment. If you're a producer, if you're going to be a host, for example, again, if you're a host, maybe you want to also, let's check out this. Let's talk about the Stream Deck real quick, Marco. And then let's move into the teleprompters. So if you're somebody, so item number 3, what type of streamer are you? We're talking about that from the perspective of now a host. And one of the ways you can do this is to make to make it easier as a streamer, whether you're a creator, a host, or a producer, is to use this. This is the Elgato Stream Deck. And Marco, I think you have one of these, don't you?
And you think, well, yes, I do.
So this is the model I have. And here, let me show you all this. So this is the Elgato Stream Deck. Looks just like this. Basically, this is what you get. And so, I have the Elgato Stream Deck. Basically what it does here, I'll show you how this, it's, you're not going to see much here, but basically this is what's in the box. You get this, you get a USB cable. It's not detachable, by the way. And
let me see.
You also get,
I can show you. There you go.
Yeah. Marco, you have one. Oh yeah. Marco's got one too. Cool.
There you go.
And so Marco's got one. I've got one. The way these work is it basically comes with this little stand. You can choose what angle you want for your Stream Deck. For example, how pronounced you want it to be. And then Marco, you've got a good shot of it, right? So do you have a way to get a closer shot of it or no?
Yeah, I can.
So here, let's show you all what this looks like. So this is the Elgato Stream Deck.
Okay.
And as you can see, Marco's got his program to do different things.
These are just scenes, okay?
Yeah.
This is my main camera. This is the Logitech. Okay, I need to adjust colors because that's the price you pay when you like to change colors, okay? So I have this new camera just to point to the desk, and then here I have my main menu, scenes, sound effects, voice modifier, which is software included in the Stream Deck pack somehow, okay, and also background musics. Okay, so with this you can bring more entertainment and possibilities to your live show, okay, because besides the hardware, again, Elgato provides you software which, besides allowing you to set the Stream Deck, also it comes with sound effects, kind of library, voice modifier, which is a freemium software because it has free voice modifiers, but also if you pay, and it's not expensive. I bought it. Okay,
Yeah.
you can bring different voice modifications. Okay, if you are doing a kind of entertaining show, this could be something interesting. Okay, if you
Yeah.
want to, if you are a comedian, for instance, this could be a nice option as well. Also, it has background musics and everything royalty free, and this is important when we talk
Mhm.
about live streaming, because sometimes we forget this thing about the copywritings. Okay, and we
Yep.
just play a music because we like it, and then there's a strike and the
Mhm.
video goes down. And
Yeah.
it's the one of the most nice scenarios when you have copyrighted music. Okay, so have this in mind as well.
Excellent point. Yeah. And I got to say, I mean, so the things I really like about the Stream Deck, it's something that you can use as a creator, as a producer, as a host. It can help you with various tasks, things like that you need to get done. So by the way, for those of you who do want to check out like all these items we've got in the carousel, you can also just go to launcher.live/gear, and that'll get you right to the creator list that we have made here. So obviously Stream Deck, super, super, super useful. There's multiple ones. Again, there's a 15 button one. There's a 32 button one. Let's pull the 32 button one up real quick, Marco, so people can see this. And I want to make sure we highlight this because there's a small difference in price. But the great thing about these is, again, the like you kind of, and we're going to get this in a second. We're going to talk about like, you know, we're going to talk about why you want to think about some of these things before you just pull the trigger. So this is the Elgato Stream Deck XL. This is a 32 button programmable one touch operation product for Mac and PC. It's about $245. It's about $100 more than the regular 15 button product. However, again, it really depends on what you actually going to use it for. Personally, I would consider either the 15 or the 32 button one, only because you can also build folders within these. So you can have 15
Yeah.
buttons and then go into a folder and so forth. So that's the
Yes.
Stream
Yes.
Deck.
Yes.
And again, it's for producers, creators, hosts. It can do anything you pretty much want. It can enhance your live streams. Now,
Absolutely. Yes.
Marco, the other thing I think that I got two other things I think we need to talk about real quick. In terms of being a host, a creator, or a producer, we should also be paying attention to our headphones. I think
Yep.
that regardless of whatever role you're in, you need a pair of headphones. And so, what you should do is, and you don't have to break the bank, but you need to wear headphones as a host, as a producer, or as a creator.
And as a guest as well.
And again, yeah, can't leave that one. We should actually amend that, I guess. So I'm gonna let you. What type of headphones should I start with? Because there's so. I mean, headphones can be, the ones that came with your phone. You can buy. I know a lot of us like these Me Audio ones, right, Marco?
Yes. Yes. Well,
They're like
I
16.
like this kind of
Yeah.
headphones we are using right now. This in here monitors. Okay,
Uh-huh.
because they are really low profile. They don't make a noise around us. Okay,
Yeah.
and this is good. Why? Because it doesn't matter if you're a gamer, a content creator, an executive, or something. It goes with okay with the outfit and the concept you're using. Because, for instance, the
Uh-huh.
other day I saw an executive asking to someone about this Canon
Can headphones.
earphones.
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, I love it, And we asked him, "Do you think it fits with outfit you usually use?" And then he thought, "Well, maybe not." So this is something that you should have in mind as well. Okay, because for instance, you're an executive wearing a tie and everything, and then you have a red big microphone in front of you.
Yeah.
This doesn't match, and also it happens with the headphones. So
So do me a
if you
favor. Yeah.
use, yes,
Because say, do me a favor. Let's bring up those headphones that we want to. Let's just bring up, these low profile ones, and then I'm going to have you talk about them. And just, I mean, I get the whole point of like, scene wise, um, if somebody is an executive, we want to make sure they actually look good on camera. And I think that's an excellent point, actually. So what's a good starter pair of headphones people should check out?
This Mi Audio M6.
So can you talk about these?
They are really low profile, and I think one of the things I like about this earphones is that you can change. You have different colors, okay? And I truly I didn't bought these earphones because they are not available in Europe. I don't know why, okay, but they are not, because I love them. They look really low profile, okay? They have this memory thing that will adjust to your ear properly.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is important as well. Okay, so you can use this, and the good thing is that you can use this, even though I don't recommend, and I'm sure that Christian doesn't recommend that as well, because we talked about this a couple of times ago before. And you can use this to your live streams, to work out, to go run and everything. But if you want to use this Mi to live stream and to work out, buy two.
Yeah. And one thing that I hope people realize, that like, if you look at the carousel, we don't have any Bluetooth headphones to my knowledge, and we don't recommend the Bluetooth ones, because a lot of people say, well, oh, I'm gonna use my AirPods or something like that. Don't use those, because the problem is that they're not actually gonna, sometimes they'll cut out in the middle of things. So what I want to do real quick, so I want to demo this. This is why I wanted you to come on screen, Marco. So you talked about having the right kinds of headphones for the environment. These don't look as bad, but here's the thing. I've got in-ear monitors. They're the Shure SE215s. They're hardwired, but I also have these. But here's the thing. If I were wearing these as we were, like, say I was an executive in a tie, this just looks weird.
You know? Yeah, let me show you mine as well.
They're comfortable. Don't get me wrong. They're comfortable. They're very comfortable. They just don't fit the environment or the type of audience that we're streaming to.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for a lot of people, they're like, well, oh, don't wear headphones. The problem with not wearing headphones is that then you end up with a quality issue. You end up with, the quality is not good at that point. So just keep that in mind. Again, they're not plugged in. I'm just showing you guys what they look like. But those are, so I'd start with that $16 model that Marco mentioned. The other thing I'd also consider recommending is probably those Shure SE215s. Again, these are what I have in my ear right now. So I've got, the in-ear monitors. These are great for like streaming. They're, they do a good job of blocking out the sound. That's super important.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know if you mentioned why it is so important to use earphones, because sometimes people forget why. And also that was the reason I added the guest role to this, to this list, is that if you're not using them, the sound may come from the speakers and get into your microphone again, and this will make that annoying, boring feedback sound echoing, okay? And this may ruin the whole show, okay? And have this in mind. If you're being a guest, even though it's not your show, it's your image there, it's your personal brand there, and I'm pretty sure that you don't want to ruin that. So have in mind that even though it's not your show, even though you're just a guest, even though you're a speaker on an event, and unfortunately I've seen this too often, use a pair of earphones, because this will improve a way better your sound and also the whole experience of people. Okay, so have that in mind.
Those are excellent points, Marco. And the other product I just want to touch on this real quick. So we talked about figuring out if you're a host or a creator or a producer. Another product that I also personally recommend. I like this. This is, and we're not going to bring this up. I'll just talk, or I highlighted in the carousel, but we'll just talk about it real quick. And this is the Deskview smartphone teleprompter. This is a T3 model that they make. And here's the thing. If you're a host, if you're a producer or you're a creator, this is important, because what this does is it allows you to have, I'll show you there's a picture real quick. It allows you to actually have your script in front of you. Or the other thing you can also do is some people will actually connect. They'll take the output and they'll put their phone there or a screen and they'll reflect it so they can see. For example, I could see Marco right in front of the camera as if I'm looking in the camera. So if you're going to be a creator or a host and you're going to be on screen, you want to have something like this. It can work as a teleprompter to help you with the script. It can also help you from the perspective of just ensuring you're looking at your audience. So, Marco, let's talk about one more item actually, real quick here. For a host and a creator and a producer, and it's probably the most important part of just live streaming, besides your internet, obviously, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So what
Yes.
is what are we going to show people?
As you like to say, is the brain of the live stream, the tech brain, okay? Not the actual brain, but this is really important to have in mind because it's like an engine, okay? It doesn't matter if you are a good driver, if you have the best tires, if you have the best gasoline, if the engine doesn't work, okay? So having a good computer is really important, and this Mac Mini, it's amazing. But I think, Christian, you're the best person here to talk about it.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll come on screen and I'll show you all this, and then I'll make sure we highlight this in the carousel. So this is the Mac Mini. This is the M1 model. This is the one that Apple makes the chip for, and I want to show you all this because it's super small, actually. Now, remember, this is a desktop. So if you're a creator, if you're a host, if you're a producer, you want to have something powerful enough. And this can do the job, by the way. This is the Mac Mini. As you know, it's got so many ports on it. It's got USB-A, it's got USB-C, it's got HDMI. So you can output an additional monitor to it, for example. You will need to have a keyboard, you will need to have a mouse, and you will need to have a monitor to use this. So out of the box, you're going to need something to be able to display it. But overall, it's a fantastic product for those of you who want to be a live streamer or make videos. I can't recommend this enough. And that's the Mac Mini. Let me go ahead and bring that one up in the carousel. I'm going to go back to the product page. Tell people why the brain is so important, Marco.
Well, because there's procession. Oh my God. How can I say the processment? It's the right word.
Processor?
Yes, the processor. It's really important to manage the information. For instance, we mentioned this. Oh my God, the chroma key using virtual background, and we see often people with a chroma key, a virtual background, not looking as good because sometimes it's a matter of computer. Okay. Also, we have video, high definition, good sound, and this has to be processed by the computer. And if you don't have a good computer, this will be really bad. Okay, and sometimes people think, so it's my camera, it's not good, it's my microphone, and it's the computer that doesn't have the right how can I say speed to work with everything.
Yeah.
So have this in mind, okay? Because it doesn't matter if it's the engine, okay? Engine doesn't move everything. All of them are useless.
So then the other thing I want to make sure we highlight on this. So there's the Mac Mini. That's if you want a desktop with no screen. And again, it's BYOD, I guess, but it's, even though the D usually stands for device, but it's bring your own display at this point, and keyboard and mouse. But for the price, this is $659. It's 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD. It is a fantastic product. I literally I'm using it right now. I have, how many tabs? I have like 100 tabs open. I'm doing this live stream on it, and it's not even
just 100.
You don't even, probably maybe 150. I don't know. I got a lot of tabs. And so the thing is, so you don't hear the fan, you don't hear anything coming on. So, and like I said, I use 2 of these. I have one of these for production. I have another one that I keep as a backup. So that's that. Now, the other thing is, so if you're somebody who's like, well, hey, you know what? I travel around. I do need I need another computer, for example. There's lots of other options here. You can go with the Apple Mac Air, the MacBook Air. It's about $950. And here's the thing: the difference between this and the Mac Mini is really just it's the display. The display is really the main thing you're buying here. So you get the so with this product you get again, well, the other option. So the other thing is, so you get the display, and then the other thing is you get more ports on the Mini versus on this laptop. You would have to buy an external, like a dock or a hub, in order to do that. So you could go with the route of the MacBook Air. By the way, the MacBook Air M1 used to be super slow. The MacBook Air used to be really slow, but when Apple moved to their own chips, it is so fast. It's unbelievable. So that is the MacBook Air. And then the other option you could go with, Marco, again, always good to have a laptop around, is the good old MacBook Pro as well. So you could go with something like this. So MacBook Pro, M1 MacBook Pro, by the way. So you can't go wrong with the MacBook Pro as well. The difference really between these, if I had to tell you about all three, the difference is if you're going to be at a desk, you have a display, you've got a keyboard, you got a mouse, or you like to bring your own stuff, get the Mac Mini, $659. If you're somebody who needs to travel, but you don't need something that's like, you don't need something like the Mac Mini, the MacBook Air. It's a great step up from the Mac Mini. Obviously, as I mentioned, you don't get as many ports. And then the other option is the MacBook Pro. They're all M1 models, meaning they're Apple Silicon. The difference really between the MacBook Pro and the MacBook Air is that one has a fan, one doesn't. So the MacBook Pro has a fan built in. It does not come on. The MacBook Air does not have a fan. And then the Mac Mini obviously has the fan and it has a bunch of ports on it. So you can't go wrong with any of these. So this is the MacBook Pro M1. The specs are all roughly the same: 8 gigs, 256 gig SSD, super, super, super fast products. So I can't stress those enough. But as a live stream producer and a host and a creator, you got to have the right computer. And that's where I would 100% start if I'm going to do any of those jobs, making sure that I have the right stuff. Now, in addition to that, by the way, there are some other ones I did highlight in the carousel. There is a PC. So if you're going to be a producer or host or a creator and you are on the PC, make sure you check out a gaming laptop. So you can't go wrong with a gaming laptop either. And Marco, I think you pulled one up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the gaming laptop Marco is pulling up. As you can see, the price is, it seems like, oh, it's super expensive, but you're getting amazing Wi-Fi here. You're getting 16 gigabytes of RAM. You're getting 512 gigabyte SSD. So you get like twice as much that were in the Mac. The only difference really is that this is a gaming processor in it and a gaming graphics card. So again, it's all about the brain. So if you're going to be doing live streaming as a host or producer or creator, you got to get the right kind of brain. You got to get the right equipment. So by the way, for those of you, if you do want a monitor or any of that kind of stuff for these products, I have highlighted a great portable monitor. It's about $150. We're not going to bring it up. But what we are going to do right now, Marco, is I want to talk about the rest of these live streaming tips.
Let's do it.
What's number 4?
Number 4 is make your homework on content creation. And it's really important.
Yeah.
Why? Don't forget, at least it's what we think. When we talk about content, we are talking about business focusing. Okay. So instead of just going and talk without having in mind something intentional in your business thing, make your homework. For instance, understand the needs of your audience. Understand how you can make them buy at some point on your live show. Understand, for instance, how you can make your live show so once you finished, you can reuse your content in other ways. Okay, be really intentional when you're thinking about your content, because I made this mistake. Okay, I just made content for the sake of creating content, and I forgot to have in mind the business side, and this it's a little bit painful when you have to pay bills at the end of the month, believe me.
Definitely. No, excellent point there. Yeah. And so when it comes to doing your homework, again, we talk about this from the perspective of equipment. We talk about it from the perspective of not buying equipment multiple times. I made the mistake when I first got started. I bought, multiple, I bought multiple microphones. So I've got, I have a lavalier mic. I don't use it. I had a Blue Yeti mic. I realized, oh, this isn't very portable. So it worked if I was in a desktop environment, not a big deal. But then I was like, well, I want to get more in front of the camera. I want to change up the scene. Oh, it's not what I need. So then what did I do? I ended up buying more stuff. Like, I went and got the Rode Wireless Go because then that allowed me to be wireless and feed that in the camera. So again, do your homework on what you need ahead of time. And by the way, you're totally welcome to reach out to us and ask us at Launch Your Live, because again, we want to make sure we get you off on the right foot, that we get you to use the right equipment, to get the right equipment that you need versus just getting equipment and then getting more equipment and getting more equipment. I talked about this earlier. Like, I'll use the example real quick, Marco. I'll talk about lighting. So for example, let me actually grab the second pair. So when it comes to lighting, there's lots of options to go for lighting. For example, you could buy these. This is an LED light strip. And I think these are like, what, 15, 20 bucks.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. The way these work is they have a remote control. Look at that.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, right? Seems really good. However, if I do the right thing and I buy the product that if I think about my plan before buying stuff, I would have bought these instead. So as you can see, I got two different ones. Now here's the reason why I would have bought these, because this can, as you can see here, it can work with an Alexa. It also can work with a mobile app. So you have to think about what kind of ecosystem you want to be in versus just buying equipment for the sake of buying it. So Marco, I'm gonna turn it over to you. Where else do we go from here? What other things do I need to consider as a live streamer?
Well, let me. Maybe we can go to the next tip, because I think this could be kind of connected to the first one. Prioritize the gear. Okay. Because
what does that mean?
It means that sometimes we should look to our overall look and sound and understand what I need to buy to give that next step. Okay. And also having in mind, of course, the budget. But again, we should be wise on this, because, for instance, I need to buy a new camera, but I don't have enough money. Let me spend it in new background lights. Doesn't make sense. Okay. Save a couple of $100s. Okay. To buy what you actually need. Okay. Because as you mentioned, I made this mistake. When I was starting buying inexpensive microphones, trying mistake to see which one will work. And then I found that I bought a couple of microphones to stay in a box over there. Okay. Absolutely useless. Okay. So have this in mind. Okay. Now you bought the right camera. You have a better image. Now, maybe the next thing I need to buy, it's the microphone. Okay. But have in mind that when you buy an XLR microphone, for instance, it's not just the microphone you need to buy. You need to buy the microphone and also a mixer. Okay. So it's kind of buying a car without buying the wheels. Okay. If you don't buy the mixer, have that in mind as well. Have in mind that if you want to buy an XLR camcorder or mirrorless camera, you need to buy a video capture card and also a dummy battery to have a battery without running dry of battery. Okay. So have this in mind and think, okay, what do I need right now? I need this. Do I have the money? Yes, buy it. I don't have the money. Save till you have.
Yeah. I love that point. Yeah. So prioritize the gear you need. again, there are gonna. Here's the thing: don't be afraid to buy something and then decide you don't need it. But that's also partly, you've got a return policy, for example. So, what I would suggest is this: go back to your point. I like the idea of don't buy something just because you can't afford the more expensive one. If your goal is, you know what, I want to get, if I want to get that Mac Mini or say I want the MacBook Pro, and it's going to cost me $1,100, right? And in this case, I guess maybe that's a bad example, but like if I want the MacBook Pro and it's going to cost me $1,150, and I'm like, you know what? Oh, but like I don't have the money for that yet. Let me buy the Mac Mini. That's a potential like smart investment, provided you don't need to be very portable. But if you're like, you know what? Hey, I need a new laptop. I'm also going to be portable in my business. I need to make sure that I buy the right kind of computer. So in that case, I would see nothing wrong with buying the Mac Mini if that's going to help you, get to that goal faster or generate more revenue faster. However, if you're like, you know what, hey, I want to buy a Stream Deck, like I use the Stream Deck, that's a perfect example. I want to buy the Stream Deck, and there's a 6-button Stream Deck, and there's a 15 button, and there's a 32 button, and you know that you need the 32 button Stream Deck. Don't buy the 6-button one just because you're going to immediately outgrow it, and then you're going to end up with an extra product sitting on your desk or in a box collecting dust. Again, be smart with what you're buying. So prioritize what you need and then set a plan for how you're going to acquire that. Okay, Marco. So let me turn it back over to you. What's the 6th live streaming tip we want to share with people?
Is how long should you use your gear? And this is also really important because some of them become obsolete. Some of them somehow at some point on your live show, as I mentioned before, you think, okay, now it's time to get the next step because you want more from that kind of device, and that one doesn't give you. Like, for instance, I mentioned the lights. I didn't have much control over my soft boxes, so I think, okay, now I need to have kind of lights that allows me to have more light, a different tone, a different color. So that is a good reason, and we can apply this idea of about control to the 3 big groups of devices we need when, okay, we can talk about the computer as well, but having in mind camera, microphone, and lights, okay, we should have in mind that when we need to have more control over the camera, over the microphone, or over the lights, it's time to move on.
That's an excellent point, actually. And I got to say, Marco, I don't know how you feel about this, but do you feel like how often do you feel like you upgrade your equipment?
Well, lately I bought this microphone. I bought the lights. Also, I bought these background lights.
Okay.
And the next investment will be in a new camera. But as I mentioned, because there's a saying here in Portugal that in the Iron Man house, I don't know, the guy who works with the iron.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He uses a wooden spoon.
Okay.
Okay. So the next thing I want to buy, it's a camera. Okay. Maybe I think that ZVE 10 from Sony could be a nice option, but because by now my budget doesn't come to that, I'm waiting, to buy it. Okay. But that's my next investment, because my microphone, I think it's pretty good. My lights are good as well. So I think this could be my next investment. And also I will be using, and we will talk this in the next topic, I will be using this camera to bring another angle to my live shows.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah. And so I like Marco's point that he's making. His point is, again, use the gear that you have. Gear is not one of those things that, like, I mean, you there's always here's the thing, there's always going to be something coming out. So it can't be like, oh, well, I'm going to wait till something else comes out. So that's the wrong approach to take. The other thing to take about this is just in terms of gear. I got to say, I don't change my gear very often. The only stuff that I might change would be like if there's something that really helps my production. But for the most part, it's not going to do a ton of things. And by the way, Marco, do me a favor. Let's bring up that Sony ZV-10 that you were talking about. So Marco was talking about cameras. He's talking about, hey, you know what? He's got what he's got right now, and he wants to upgrade at some point. And so there is a new camera, for example. It's the Sony ZV-10, and it's expensive. It's not terribly expensive, but it's expensive. So it's like I think $800. And this is the ZV-10 actually. So it should be in the carousel. It should be at the end, I think, Marco. Yeah. So
Yeah,
Marco's got the ZV-10. This is the ZV-10. And again, this is a better camera than, it's better than, for example, like you can buy a Canon M50, you can buy the Sony A6100, 6200, 6400, etc. This is the ZV-10. So they've upgraded things, but I guess here's the thing I think I would take away from this, Marco. This is a good camera. If I'm in the market, I've gone from a webcam to one of these cameras. The only reason I would upgrade to this camera would be if I've been using a webcam, or I've been using the webcam on my laptop and I've been using it for years, and I've got, and I'm generating revenue in my business and I need to get a new camera. If I've been using a Canon M50 or a Sony, A6400 or something like that, I wouldn't just upgrade because now, hey, Sony's got a new camera out. It's going to be marginally better because those are all still good cameras. So,
yeah.
So that's a really great point you make. Again, use your gear. Try to get, don't just unless your budget, help, unless you have a budget that says, hey, you know what, I can just keep upgrading, no big deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're somebody that you know what, I can't spend $1,000 every single year on a new camera, that's $1,000 that you use that item for the time, and then you take the extra money that you've been generating and you invest that into another area. So you're basically leveling up everything you're doing. And I want to bring up a really good comment, by the way, that we received, and it was needs versus wants.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
What you need versus, oh, I want to get that new camera because, hey, oh, it's a new camera. There's always new stuff coming out. So keep that in mind. Okay. So Marco, we're coming in for a landing. Let's talk about the 7th live streaming tip that we wanted to talk about.
And this is really important. And this will make you think in the long term is, even though, for instance, my webcam, it's kind of a little bit outdated, should I just put it aside, or can I still using it? Okay, because I believe that most of the times they can be on the field working somehow. For instance, my Logitech C920, even I need to set it better. It's working by this time. It's a little bit blue because
So Marco, do me a favor. So tell me what you're doing here.
I'm moving.
So Marco's got the Logitech C920.
Okay. And I'm going to I can explain why I brought this C920. And you may think, oh, it's stupid. Why he has two cameras with similar angles. Okay. Because it's almost the same angle. And this is, of course, the image is not as good. Easy. Because I use this to broadcast and I use this to produce. Okay. Because instead of need to connect the camera to connect the lights and everything, I just put this camera on. I have here a light ring or a ring. A ring light. Yes. So yeah. I have this ring light here. Okay. There you go. Okay. I just put it to work, and with the C920 and the light ring or ring light, I can make my job of producing. And it's enough. Okay, and when I need to host or appear or create or being just myself in camera, I use this setup. Okay,
Yeah,
that's the thing.
that's an excellent point, actually. So absolutely, 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 like excellent, excellent, excellent point about getting the most out of your live streams. So, sorry, out of your equipment. And I
Yeah.
will say this.
For
This goes
instance, I
back to
have
like,
here this camcorder, a very old camcorder.
yeah,
Okay.
okay,
It doesn't have an image, a great image, but why I use this? For instance, I'm making an unboxing on Amazon and I need to show how big something is, how the length or something. I
mhm,
use this angle behind, okay, because he has a bigger angle.
okay,
And look, how does it look? Or for instance, to show my desk.
okay, yeah,
So have in mind that sometimes you have there something stored that you forgot that it's there, and
mhm,
maybe with some adjustments or buying a not so expensive extra gear, you
yeah.
can bring more value to your live shows.
Exactly. Love the point. And one of the items that a lot of people will use, for example, uh, or that maybe they don't get the most out of the equipment, a monitor. Like, for example, just think about the technology. Monitors don't change very often. So if you happen to
Yeah.
be, and I'm going to bring this one up real quick, by the way. So for those of you who you need more real estate on your desk, whether it's a creator or a host or a producer, make the smart investments in the things. So, for example, this is a great little portable monitor. You can connect a phone to it, you can connect a tablet to it, you can connect a laptop. It's portable. So, if you ever need to if you're like, hey, I need a new display, you can use this with that Mac Mini. You can use it with your desktop, your laptop, your smartphone, for example, and squeeze as much out of this as you possibly can. By the way, this is on Amazon daily deals as well. By the way, this is only $152. It's a $50 difference in what it normally
Yep.
sells for. So it's on sale. It's an Amazon deal right now. So make sure you go and check that out. It's about 70% claim from what I'm seeing here. But what I want to get at is use the equipment to its fullest potential. So for example, if it's a monitor, get the most out of the monitor. So use it, use it, use it until it actually stops working.
Yeah.
Or
Good point. Yes.
use it until, use it until something that is not, use it until something that comes along is a huge, huge, huge improvement.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, don't just get it because it's like, oh, it's marginally better. For example,
Yeah.
let's talk computer ports. So, laptops had DisplayPort, HDMI. Then they moved into to USB-C / Thunderbolt, right? / Thunderbolt. And so the thing is, what a lot of people do is, oh, I got a new computer. I need to get a new monitor. Not necessarily. Sometimes, unless there's a huge improvement over it, it comes down to what you're doing with it. So, for example, if I wanted to get, I have a pretty new laptop here, but if I want to get a new monitor, I don't need to, for example, I don't need to go buy the most expensive monitor because guess what? I'm not showing gameplay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a screen all day. I'm putting myself on camera. Guess what? I can put myself on camera and invest in a more expensive camera versus a monitor that's super sharp, for example, or like one of those huge like wraparound displays. I love those, but it also means then that I got to have the graphics. Like there's always going to be a trade-off that you're going to need for something. So, so if you're buying a monitor, don't just get a new like monitor just because, hey, oh, now it supports USB-C. Get it when you need it.
Yep.
Couple other points to this. I mean, again, use your equipment to its fullest potential. The other angle I want to make sure we talk about with this real quick, Marco, is let's talk about that Elgato Stream Deck. It's a great product, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
But I would bet that a lot of people barely scratch the surface on the Stream Deck. They barely scratched the surface on this thing. And it is, I mean, I don't know about you, Marco, like this does require a little bit of a learning curve, right? Sorry,
Yes,
by the way, for the Vita
absolutely.
box. I've used it quite a bit.
Absolutely. You need to explore to see what everything, or at least most of the things you can get out of the Stream Deck.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a real time. And also, again, make your homework.
Yeah.
Because
do your homework. Yes.
Watching some YouTube videos, putting your hands in the device so you can see what else you can do with that.
Yeah.
And also, usually when you start using it, this will bring you more ideas about new approaches to the use of the Stream Deck. So this is really important. As usual, try.
Absolutely. And that's the key thing. I mean, again, don't just buy the equipment just because it's new, just because, we talked about this at the beginning, having gear acquisition syndrome, having gas. So our viewers over on YouTube, we talked about having gear acquisition syndrome, which is buying just because something's new, or buying because, hey, Marco recommended it. For example, because, if it was a new product and Marco might be talking about it because he says, hey, everybody wants to be searching for this, I'm going to start talking about it. Right. So not just buying it just because there's something new out, buying it because you actually need it. If it can help improve your stream, if it can help make your process easier, and you can think of it like this. If you've got like 10 things connected, okay, and you can eliminate 2-3 of those items by upgrading one item, that's a smart investment. That's a smart move as a live streamer. For example, if you're like, hey, you know what? I want to be able to switch cameras, or actually, I'll give you this example. The ATEM Minis, right? So we've talked about the ATEM Mini, the ATEM Mini Pro. So for those of you who've bought like one of these really expensive cameras, so say you've bought this Sony ZV-E10, for example, that's out. It's an $800 camera. It's $800. I think you also need a capture card, right, Marco?
Yes.
Like you need one of these. So here's the problem. You buy that camera. You need to buy a $150 capture card just to make the camera work as a live streaming camera, for example. So you're spending $800 on the camera, you're spending $150 on this. So now let's say, okay, well, let's say you're like, hey, you know what? I want multiple camera angles, or I want to be able to, switch like Marco's doing. So you spent $800 and you bought one of these. If you're on a single camera setup, that's fine. However, what you should consider at that point is, you know what? Maybe I need to make a different investment. Maybe I need to buy the ATEM Mini Pro. It's $300. It allows me to have 4 camera inputs. I don't need this. And I can get more out of what I've got for equipment. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's an extra thing I want to bring to the conversation.
Sure. Yeah.
Having this in mind, because most of these cameras, they came up with softwares which allows you to go live just by using a USB connection. Okay. So is this the best option? Absolutely not. Okay. But let's think a little bit. You want to scale your the amount of cameras that you want to have on your setup. Okay. So for instance, within 6 months, I want to bring another camera. So instead of buying a capture card today and in 6 months buying another one, what you can do, you can just by now use the USB. Okay. And when you buy the second camera, you can buy an ATEM Mini, for instance, and there you go. And I think, Chris, I can show the difference by using, because this camera is connected at the same time with USB and with a video capture card. And let me show the difference when I use the video capture card and when I use the USB, so people can tell the difference. Okay.
So what is this first view?
This is with the Elgato capture card. Okay. And this will be with the USB. Okay. You can see a slightly difference. Okay. I think this image looks better. Okay. But my question is, if you have the option to save money, you don't spend, for instance, $150 right now, and you will save, you put it in the bank so it can give you interests. Okay. And within 1 year, you will buy the second camera. Okay. You buy an anti-mini, which will give you 4 inputs. Okay, so you will be using 2 of them, and with $300 you can buy it, so it's the price of 2 video capture cards. Okay, but you can scale, you can buy meanwhile more cameras, and also it will give you more control over the live stream, because with the 18 mini you can switch scenes, you can bring different angles, and this is a plus in my opinion. So have this in mind. Know all the options about the gear you're buying, so you can be as wise as possible doing your acquisitions.
That's an excellent point, Marco. I mean, I got to say, I feel like I should have brought a calculator or something on here to show people, to show them like how much money can they save when they're doing this. Again, when I started, like I said, we've all made these mistakes. We went and bought, for example, something we didn't need. So, for example, like my case in point, I bought the Cam Link 4K, and I said, "Oh, I need this," but then I also got the Stream Deck, the A10 Mini, and I didn't realize when I had gotten all of this, I didn't need this because the other product would do that for me. So, that's something you want to keep in mind. I mean, while it's great to have this, it's not something I'm using. So again, that's money you can either put in the bank, or it's money that you could invest. If this was $100, $150, you can use this to put towards something else. $100, $150 could be like, for example, it could be a new lens on my camera, for example. It could be, adding like, it could be improving my headphones, for example, just improving some area of your live stream. So awesome, Marco. This has been a great conversation, by the way.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank everybody, by the way, who's been tuning in with us for episode 88 of the Launch Your Live podcast, and Amazon, and obviously the Amazon Live show that we're doing here. Remember, if you're listening and you want to check out any of the stuff that we've talked about, all you have to do is go to launchyour.live/EP88. So launchyour.live/EP88. And that will get you over to the Amazon Live. You can check out all the stuff we had in the carousel. I also put up a link. You can also go to launchyour.live/gear if you want to check out some of the items that we've talked about on this episode. But with that, I want to thank you for tuning in. And Marco, I want to thank you for just an excellent episode. It's been a lot of fun talking about some of our favorite live streaming tips. I want to do one quick recap, by the way. From just because we had some people join us late, it's not a big deal. So they're watching over on YouTube. But what we basically talked about today were live streaming tips, things that we'd recommend that you pay attention to as you're doing you're on your live streaming journey. And that would be number 1, avoid gear acquisition syndrome, or GAS. So basically buying what other people already have, just because somebody got something new. Yeah. Number 2 was what, Marco?
Let me check. Number 2 is test on a safe environment. Instead of just going live as you should do like normally, test it in a private group on Facebook, a private video on YouTube, or just, for instance, using an amazing software like StreamYard. Test there and record only mode, so you see how it works, how you can use it instead of going live and maybe have an awkward and painful experience.
Absolutely. Number three is, what type of live streamer are you? So we talked about, again, when you talk live streaming, a lot of people immediately think, oh, well, I need to be live. I need to be on camera. And that's not always the case. You don't have to be live. You don't have to be on camera. Some people prefer to be behind the scenes. So ask yourself, are you a host? Are you a producer? Or are you a creator? Meaning you're comfortable being on camera talking, and all of the stuff that goes along with that. So that's number three. Number four, Marco, what was that?
Make your homework, okay? Don't buy just because you need to buy. Don't make content just because of it's funny to create content and everybody's saying to create content. Okay, have in mind, be intentional. What do I need? Which goals I want to reach, and think about how you can, which kind of content you need to create, which kind of devices you need to have. Be really wise. Again, do your homework, investigate, learn to have the best results as you can.
Absolutely. So that's number four. Number five is prioritize what gear you need. So, for example, if your budget tells you, if you said, you know what, I want to get new lights, don't shortcut yourself and say, you know what, I can't afford those lights. Like if it's the Elgato Key Lights, for example, they're $150 a piece. So, for example, they're $150, but don't just go buy another set of lights when you know what you want. You just can't afford it yet.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
don't just go buy, for example, don't go buy actually, I'll give you the better example. Don't go buy the tiny ring light when you know that you need the big ring light, for example, because what are you
Yeah,
going to end up doing with that little small ring light? Nothing. When it's finished, when you're like, okay, when you get the new one, you're going to probably not use that other smaller one. So just try to get the thing you need when you need it, and don't buy other things in between. Number six, what's that, Marco?
when it's time to have new gear, how long should I use my gear? And my recommendation is, besides when they stop working, this is it's when you want to have more control, more options on the functions that a particular gear can do. Okay, for instance, I want to have different tones of light, different intensity of light, different colors. It's time to replace the soft boxes with RGB LED panels, for
Yep.
instance.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. That is an excellent point. Yeah, and a lot of people, what they do is what they do is they buy, like you've said, and I think some people watching have said as well. They bought stuff that they either really didn't need, or they bought it and it's been sitting there in a box. I mean, we'll use the green screen example. Green screens are super hard to, they're complex to put up. And the thing is, people aren't going to put them up and take them down, put them up and take them down. So people might have bought the one that you do with that, or you could have bought the Elgato green screen one that collapses. So it goes up and you take it down, you can store it out of the way, and it's not complex to then have to put back up. But again, making sure you're, using your gear that you're getting, and don't just get it and great, I got all this gear, like big deal. It's all about taking action. And then the seventh thing we talked about on this was using your equipment to its fullest potential. And that's using it until the wheels fall off. Don't just upgrade a monitor just because, hey, I got a new computer. Use the other. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with your other monitor. Repurpose it. We talked about it earlier, Marco. You talked about with your Logitech webcam.
Yes.
So you got a Logitech webcam. I got a Logitech Brio. And instead of if you're doing your streams and you're like, okay, I'm ready to move into something else, don't just throw it away. Because in your case, what do you use it for? You've repurposed it so that when you do live stream production, you now have the camera you need. You don't need to turn on the mirrorless DSLR or anything like that. you can just turn on the webcam and get the job done. Because again, you're a producer, you're not on camera. Maybe you're on camera just to talk to somebody initially, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, just to help
like,
somehow at the
awesome setup.
beginning.
Yeah. So that's item number 7. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this. This has been a fantastic episode. I hope you all have enjoyed it. Remember, you can check us out at Launch Your Live on all the social channels. Marco's also at MFC Novo on his channel as well. But that has been episode 88 of the Launch Your Live show. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. I want to thank Marco for co-hosting with me.
Thank you. My
and
pleasure.
We'll see you all, I think, next week, right, Marco?
Yes, next week.
Absolutely. So with that, have a great weekend. Again,
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.